to you guys really quick about Christmas camp. It's going to be on December 9th and 10th, and we're doing it right here at the church this year. We're going to have a Christmas movie. We're going to go look at Christmas lights. We're going to have presents, just like we did last year. And we need your guys' help for that. We're going to actually have a little Christmas tree out in the lobby pretty soon, and you'll be able to grab a little ornament off of that that'll say boy or girl and say an age. And if you could get a Christmas present, that's about $5 to $10. That'll help us get presents for all our kids. So that'll be out there pretty soon. If you guys want to participate in that, that would be really appreciated.
Exodus chapter 20, verse 3, you shall have no other God before me. One example is you choose God over your phone. Jesus, thank you for today. Thank you for everything you've given us. Thank you for everything, and pray while Tommy teaches tonight. And all our blessings in Jesus' name, amen.
Throughout What? So I kind of have two titles. You can sit down because I'm going to take tell you a funny story first before we go into this. It's okay, you can leave that up because it's got my titles on there. It says, first my title, if I was going to be serious, I was going to say, what do you smell like? But the other one says, Mom, you smell like a horse. So, and there's a few of you in here that know my story of Gabby and our horse story, but I'll read my scripture real quick and then I'll tell you this and then we'll go from there. It's Revelations chapter 3, verse 20, and it says this, Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice, and opens the door, I will come in to him and dine with him and he with me. One evening we were over at Daniel and Kathy's, and I think it was the night we were carving pumpkins and all that funny stuff and just enjoying some family time. And after we were done, Gabby crawled up into my lap and I thought she was trying to kiss my cheek. Let's be honest. I'm the mom and I thought she was trying to kiss my cheek. I thought she was just loving on me. And real quietly, all of a sudden I felt her nose press against my cheek. And I thought, what on earth are you doing, kid? And all of a sudden, I leaned over and I went in and tried to kiss her cheek back like a mom would do. And she said, Stop, Mom. Wait a minute. Just wait. What are you doing? You don't want my kisses? She said, No, Mom, just wait. And she's being real quiet. While she's doing this, I'm just not really sure what she's doing. All of a sudden, I can tell she's smelling my cheek. She's sniffing it. What are you doing? She goes, Mom, and real quietly, she didn't want to hurt my feelings, and she didn't want anybody in there to hear what she was telling me in my ear, but she said, Mama, you smell like a horse. I said, what? She goes, Mama, you smell like a horse. And I started laughing out loud. I didn't think anything of it. I literally had just been outside with the horse. I'd worked her. I'd done all that I was going to do. I'd even pet her, loved on her. Didn't even think about it. I didn't probably lay my head against her neck and you know, rub my head against her cheek. And so, yeah, I probably smelled like a horse. And she was still trying to be so nice. And I said, I started laughing. I said, I do. And I was real, you know, dramatic and vocal about it. It wasn't a big deal. I was laughing. And she started giggling in and she said, Mom, you do. And so with that, in a split second that I heard that she said, Mom, you smell like a horse. In that absolute moment, I heard God say, but do you smell like me? I said, what? Do I smell like you? Do you smell like me? I'm sorry. I'll have to take this off or I won't be able to concentrate. Sorry, that tells me what's going on with Gabby, and I can't do that right now. Anyways, in that split second, I heard God say to me, but do you smell like me? And I felt my guts turning, and I felt myself just thinking, God, I think I smell like you. I think I'm walking in your will. And he said, but are you smelling like me? Are you doing what I'm asking you to do? Are you doing my will? And when I have knocked on your door, have you really opened the door wide to me? Or are you just standing there in fear waiting for me to say, I'm waiting for you to say, come in. God said, the door is wide open, but where are you in the door? In Revelation chapter 3, verse 20, it says this. It says, behold, I stand at the door and knock, period. There's no comma, there's no nothing. It's a period. That's the end of it. That's what he's doing. And listen, second grade and third grade and all this has been really good for me because I've learned all my English all over again. So this is where the little English lessons coming in because we've been working on that. So that, listen, this is where this is coming from. Because it struck me when I read this again that he didn't just put a comma there. He didn't just say, I'm standing at the door knocking, come on in. He didn't say, period. I'm standing at the door knocking. That's final. It's done. Now you have to act upon it. So from here it says, now he's waiting for me to do something. He's waiting for me to respond. Now I have another funny story. I have a lot of funny ones that I've done throughout these years. And Brother Smith, when he was still here, when we lived over here on Birch Lane, he was knocking on the door. Knock, 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 knock. I didn't even know who was at the door. I was just hollering, come in, because, well, that's just what I did. Come on in. I don't care who you are. Just come on in. Whoever it was would not come to would not open the door and would not come in. Just kept knocking, kept knocking. And at that moment, I'm pretty sure I was doing dishes, because that's the only time I usually don't go to the door, because my hands are in dishwater. So I was like, just come in. And I thought, well, maybe I'll lock the door. I never do that, but maybe I did. And when I got to the door and I opened it, I was like, oh, you could have just come on in. He said, I waited for you to open the door to me. I didn't think anything of it. Well, let's just put it this way. I'm pretty sure he's probably still using me in some of his analogies, because within a few weeks later, I was in one of his sermons, because he said there was this person, I was at the door and they were knocking. I was knocking, they wouldn't open the door. I waited for them to open the door to me. Now that's the same thing that God's doing right here. He's waiting for me to open the door. And he's saying there, so again it says, behold, I stand at the door and I knock, period. End of that, no more, no less. It's time for us to do something. From here I've got my own response has to be done. From here I have to decide what I do next. So the next part of it says, if anyone hears my voice and opens the door, there's not a period there. It's not done, it's not this, it's a comma. It's a pause. It's a wait. I'm going to wait to see what happens. So our next response has to be this. We have to say two little words. Come in. Come on in. So we go to the door, we open the door, and we say to them, come on in. And then what he does is the greatest part of all. He will come in, and he will sit down with us, and he will dine with us, and I with him. I will be a part of what he's asking, but he is waiting for us to say two words. When he knocks on the door, he's waiting for us to first respond and open it, and then look at him and say, come in. In saying that, sometimes we stand there, and those times are sometimes the fellowship times of fun times. There are times that we have to give him all of our attention, because those are teaching times for us. Those are times filled with joy. Those are times filled with peace when he speaks to us. Those are times of instruction, correction, and sometimes challenging things that he's asking us to do. But we have to decide again, will we allow him to come in? My next scripture is Acts chapter 12, verses 13 and 14, and it says this, and you're thinking, what does this have to do with this? Well, let me tell you where my thoughts go, but it says this. In verse 13, it says, and as Peter knocked at the door of the gate, and the girl named Rhoda came to answer, when she recognized Peter's voice, because of her gladness, she did not open the gate, but she ran and announced that Peter stood at the gate. But they said to her, you are beside yourself. Yet she kept insisting that it was so. So they said, it is only his angel. Now Peter continued to knock. He continued to knock, and when he opened the door, they saw him, and they were astonished. Listen. What does this have to do with Jesus standing at the door knocking? Well, here's how I look at it. Several scriptures before that, the church was praying continually for Peter. They were praying for things to happen. They were praying for him to be okay. They were praying for different things. Here's what happens then. We should be continually in prayer for our friends and family that are in church, and we should be continually in prayer for those that are around us. We should be here saying, God, protect them, heal them, save them, give them wisdom. This is our prayers for our family here. Well, you know that if they were praying for Peter just like that, when Jesus is knocking at our door and he's waiting for us to say, come in, you know, some of our brothers and sisters can see that Jesus is knocking on our door and seeing that there's things that maybe God's trying to open to us and reveal to us, but we're too fearful and too afraid to open the door. Sometimes we're praying for salvation, for family, for protection, for others, for wisdom, for encouragement, for blessing for on their lives, for freedom, for willingness to walk in the callings, to hear from God and to speak what he's asking us to do, for directions, knowledge, and for restoration of families. The list could keep going on and on of what we are preaching or what we are praying and asking for our friends and family. Now, I looked up the name Rhoda and I thought, God, that's got to have some kind of meaning to it. Why we need to know I want to know what this means. It means a rose. In Greek, it means rose. What do we do when we have a rose? Who do we give those to? We give them to our friends. We give them to our family members. We give them to, sometimes when sadness happens, sometimes we just give flowers because we love you. But what does roses have on them? Thorns. Roses have thorns, and sometimes those thorns can cause some pain. Sometimes we have friends in our lives that are real friends, and I'm not talking like the friends that say what we want them to say, because a real friend is real raw and very real with us, and not afraid to turn our world upside down if we have to. Yes, for a time they'll say, it's okay, have your little pity party, I'll give you a couple of minutes and go for it, you can have it. But then all of a sudden, and then while we're saying, no, God, I know that's not what you have for me, I'm standing at the door, I'm waiting to walk in, I want to do your will, but I'm too afraid. Well, we have a friend all of a sudden that says, listen, I've heard God. I know God's knocking on your door. I can see what he's asking you to do, but why are you so afraid to walk through it? Fear has us bound. Me, bound. Let's just be real. But I have that real friend that says, it's okay, walk through the door. And then they're really, really, really real, and they say, I promise you, don't freeze up. Don't stand in unbelief. Don't stand wondering if this is true, because you have already had this confirmed in your life, because God's already confirmed those things in your own life. And I'm not just speaking about me, but I'm telling you, God is confirming some things in your lives that you need to walk through, but sometimes fear has us so gripped that we just stand there with the door open, and we look at God, and we say, no, not doing it. And God says, but I'm right here. And if you'll just let me come in, I'll walk the walk with you, and I'll take you through it, but you've got to trust me in it. And that's when you have that real friend look at you with that thorn that they have and say, just do it. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Step out on faith. Step into your calling. Step into whatever it is that God's asking you to do. If you're supposed to fast at this time, then fast at this time, because then the enemy says to you, this is your friend that says, fast if that's what God's calling you to do. Or speak if that's what God's going to do. Or sing if that's what God is calling you to do. Or pray for your neighbor if that's what God is calling you to do. Or whatever God is asking you to do, then do it. And then we find ourselves again standing at the door, and God's saying, I will equip you, just let me in. Look, this is super short, and this is what I feel. So the last thing that I have for you is to just tell you another little story about myself. When I was between the ages of 9 and 11, my parents and I went to this church. It was over on Division Street in Springfield, somewhere around there. I just remember it was being a really, really bad part of town. And this woman was our pastor there, and I couldn't tell you her name. I have no clue what her name was. I just know she was a woman, and she was a pastor. And I don't even know why we started going there, but that's where we started going. So my dad was going with us, and that was probably why, because he wanted to go there. But I remember going home one night, and it was a long enough drive from Springfield to Hurley, and it was a good hour. And I remember telling my mom and dad, I said, Mom, I think I might want to preach someday. My mom laughed at me, and that's okay. I mean, because we knew that I had a lady preacher, and I thought, you know what, I think that I might want to do that someday. And she laughed. She said, honey, that's a deep calling that you've got to walk in, and you need to think about that. And I go, well, if Jesus doesn't want me to do that, now listen, no judging here, because I grew up on country music, so I said, maybe I'll just be like Dolly Parton and sing on stage. So anyway, she said, well, let's just go with the preacher. So that's just but God was already calling me into something that I didn't even know that he was calling me into. But I have to go back to Revelations, and I have to remember that God is saying, behold, I stand at the door and I knock. And if anyone, period, I'm standing there, I'm waiting for your response. I'm waiting for you to say something. I'm waiting for you to come in. I'm waiting for you to open the door. I'm waiting on you. And I'm waiting for you to say those two words to me, come in. Because I want to talk to you. He wants to talk to you. He wants to give you something that you've never had before. He wants to tell you something you've never been told before. He wants to encourage you in things that you've never been encouraged in before. He wants to remove all fear and doubt and anxiety, and he wants you to know that he's there for you, and he won't stop knocking. Just open the door. I walked around and I shook some of your hands. Smell your hand if I shook your hand. Does it smell like anything? I see some that say yes and some that say no. What do I smell like? See, that's the thing. When I walk into a room, what do you smell like to others? When we're walking into Walmart, what do we smell like to others? Are we showing Christ, or we get ourselves all frustrated because they don't have what we need, or somebody's in line with 100 things in their cart and we only have 2 and we need to be somewhere, and we forget that maybe we need to talk to them. Maybe we need to smile at them. Maybe we need to help them. When we walk into a room, what do we smell like? Some said no. Some might think that stinks. Some might think it smells good. Some might say, I don't smell anything at all. That's just it. We have to think about this. What do I smell like in the nostrils of Jesus? What is it? Where am I going in my walk with him? This morning we talked in Sunday school about digging deeper. And I said, when God is asking us to do something, and I said he's tolerable of me because I didn't know any better, and he's tolerating me at that moment until I say, God, you've revealed this to me, now please help me. And literally, I think this is what God does to me because this is who I am, so this is how I hear God. All right, sis, you ask. So now you do your part. And that's me opening that door again and saying, okay, you walk in. Let's sit down and talk. I say all of that to say this. In 2 Corinthians, it says, chapter 2 and 16, it says, verse 15, I'm sorry, chapter 2, verse 15, it says this, For we are to God the fragrance of Christ among those who are being saved and among those who are perishing. Look, we've got to be that scent that everyone needs. And sometimes it's difficult, and sometimes we struggle. But my encouragement to us tonight, and I told you this isn't long, this is short, but my encouragement to you tonight is be the scent of Jesus. Don't be afraid to step out and do, if he's asking you to walk up to that person in the grocery store, or talk to that person at work, or pray over whoever you're around at that moment, even if they don't want it, you can say a silent prayer, God, give them strength, but be obedient in that door that you're supposed to be walking through. And know that God will be there with you. So if everyone just want to bow your head and close your eyes. This is the part I don't know and don't do well. But if you're not sure if you smell like Jesus, or you say, I'm afraid that my scent is weakened, and I'm afraid that every time he opens, he's knocking at my door, I'm afraid to open it because I'm afraid of what maybe he's asking me to do. I'm afraid of just growing. Whatever it is that the enemy has lied to you about, remember, it's a lie. If you want to go deeper with God, then God wants you to get deeper with him. If the enemy is telling you not to do it, not to do whatever he's asking you to do, that's the enemy. Because God's got a bigger purpose for you and for your lives. Don't be afraid to step out. Don't be afraid to pray. Don't be afraid to do whatever it is that you need to do. Because God will be in the midst with you. You just have to say, come in. So my encouragement tonight is that if you need Jesus to do anything in your life, if you need him to make your scent greater so that when you walk into a place that you smell more and more like him, or when you are doing whatever it is, these altars are open and they're here. Jesus is going to meet you here, and he's going to help you through, and he will show you what path to walk down. We just have to be willing. Each and every one of us have to be willing. Jesus, as I come through, I just pray, God, will you touch every heart. more like you, God. Let us remember that you know our name. You've not forgotten it. And if we're struggling, God, let us open the door to say, come in and help us through this struggle. Help us through this moment that we're kneeling or we're waiting or we're wondering. But God, help us.
know my name. You know my name. You know my
Aren't you glad Jesus knows your name? He has a personal relationship with you. The only thing that gets me through life is that it holds onto my hand. Truthfully. I'm not saying that just to be saying something. I'm telling you what. It's the only thing that gets me through life. So you would let JJ know that she did an awesome job tonight. JJ, sometimes we're our worst critic. I'm just gonna tell you that I am my worst critic sometimes, all the time. I gotta block myself out sometimes. My very thoughts. You did a very good job. I'm excited to see even more to come. So this week, we have a busy week. Every night is OCC collection. Sure, we will not turn down any volunteers that want to help. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I mean, any volunteers will be welcomed. Will not be turned around. Yeah, I don't know the time. You have to get with Amy and she can give you the times. Then Wednesday night, midweek Bible study. Then Thursday night, the community Thanksgiving service, which will be here at 7. Yes, at 7. We will have the best worship team doing worship. Anointed worship. That's our team. If you didn't know where I was going with that, but that is our team. So I know this time of year, it just the calendar gets busy. It just can get overwhelming. It just helps time go by faster. It's all right. Just fill that calendar up. Volunteer some time. Be in service. Wednesday night, be in service. Thursday night,